Have you ever thought about real estate investing in Maryland? You're going to want to stay tuned to this interview. All right, Andrew Rundum here with the Sure Group of Berkshire Hathaway. Today I'm back with Brentin Hess. We interviewed him 3 years ago. It was one of our most popular interviews. I guess you were 25 at the time. And now Brentin's 28 years old. He's flipped over 100 houses. He currently is holding 33 units, has had up to 50 units in his buy and hold portfolio. What a better guest to discuss the ins and outs of real estate flipping and investing in Maryland. Welcome.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Andrew.
So I told Brentin we're going to go straight Q&A. So I have a list of questions, and we're just going to ham and egg it here. Number one, how did you get into flipping houses in this real estate investing niche?
When I was 19 years old, I went ahead and got my real estate license. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I met somebody at my real estate brokerage he had a lot of money and not a ton of time. So we were just chatting, and he's like, why don't we flip houses? And it was kind of like the blind leading the blind. So I jumped aboard. We started flipping some houses, and we were the school of hard knocks, making every mistake in the book. And this was right around 2013 time. And it got my start. And I've since gone out on my own, and now I flip houses, do the rentals, and I do all the real estate investing now in-house solo with no partners.
Yeah, Brentin is just a wealth of knowledge, and he's got, what I like is the proof's in the pudding. You don't just talk about it, even though you do coach people and you help a lot of people get into flipping houses. So if you're thinking about getting into this, at the end we'll make sure Brentin's contact information's out there, because you're helping a lot of people achieve at a high level. So how do people generally react when they see this 28-year-old flipping hundreds of houses? Like, how's that conversation going?
Yeah, well, I look, 12, so they're really confused. Yeah, I mean, when people hear about me flipping houses, the first thing they think is, wow, that's so cool. I've always wanted to do that. And I remember sitting in their shoes saying the same thing. While it's not all as glamorous as it seems, I mean, I've lost it all, hundreds of thousands in my journey, been at a complete rock bottom, had to bounce back. It's high risk, high reward business. There are plenty of ups and downs and roller coasters, but it's really cool. And what happens is, like, HGTV has put this in people's brains as far as like, oh, it's easy. It's not easy. However, the transformations are real. What you're doing in the communities and these homes are real. And you can make some sort of impact. At the very minimum, you can make some good money. You just have to make sure that you follow the right steps, you do everything correctly. And I'm real grateful to be here into this industry, specifically real estate investing.
Well, in real estate, it only takes one minor error to really mess yourself up.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get into some of those areas in a minute, but
Plenty.
Why do you think people invest in real estate so much? And it's such a hot topic, particularly with all the appreciation we're seeing. Why do people choose real estate instead of stocks and bonds and other investments?
Yeah, real estate, as you know very well, is great for diversification. Mm-hmm. Stocks, bonds, do your thing, invest how you wish. But if you're looking for some sort of diversification, real estate provides you with potential cash flow, mm-hmm, or lump sum if you're flipping a house. It also provides you with a potential appreciation, debt pay down if it's a rental and you have tenants paying down your debt. The house is going up in value. Maybe you're making some money every month. Just so many different ways that you can make money in real estate. And then it's like tangible. You can drive by it and see it. You can improve it. And over time, I think it gives people some sort of sense of significance. Whereas if they're just this minority shareholder in a stock, they have no control or no feeling of that significance. I think real estate is an amazing vehicle that you just have to make sure you go about it the right way.
Totally. And one thing you didn't mention is these tax benefits are crazy. This country, this system is set up on property rights and rewarding property owners. And luckily, everyone can buy it. If you just got to study it, learn it, be a student of the game. And the other thing I really like about it, Brentin, is you can't just get emotional and say, oh my God, and click and sell it. There's a process to sell this house. And so your decision making is over a longer period of time, which I think helps a lot of investors, because you're really emotional, like, oh my God, my stock's tanking, click, and you get out of the market and maybe you shouldn't have. Yeah. So there's so many benefits to the real estate investing, but thanks for answering that. Do you have any advice for someone who's looking to buy their first investment property in Maryland and how they can start their kind of journey to this wealth building everyone's after?
When looking to get into real estate, especially here in Maryland, no matter what market it's in, it's always ultra competitive in some way. Right now, it's those who can still find great deals or deals at all are those who are investing in real estate at a high level, who are successful. One thing we know about real estate, and you know this better than anybody, is you make your money when you buy. So I say all that to say it's important to, of course, build your team, make sure you have a great realtor, make sure that you have a great contractor, but more than that, and first, it's making sure you get educated on how to find good deals. Because if you find a good deal, you can bring it to any one of us, and we can help you get to that very next step. But there is no construction without a deal. And it all comes down to finding a great deal. There's plenty of online resources. We will get to all of that. Make sure that you, at the end of the day, build a great team and you go out there and you find great properties. That's where I would start.
So write that down. Find a good deal. That should be your only thing you're thinking of. If you take away nothing else, find a good deal and use your resources, use your team. Brentin's so accessible. You find him on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, send him a message. He'll tell you if it's a good deal or not, whether he has nothing to do with it. And so would I, because what guys like us try to do is bring value to the marketplace. So maybe one day it'll come back around and you say, hey, I like that guy. That guy could probably help me. Maybe I'll use him to sell my house. Maybe Brentin can line me up with some financing or coach me through this process so I don't make a big mistake. That's really big. What do you think the toughest part about learning about real estate investing? So some people are watching this, they're like, they're in, they want it, they got the mental capacity. Where's the hurdles? What's the toughest part about really getting into it?
It's mindset. I know we don't want to hear that. Nobody wants to hear like, oh, it's in the mindset. You know, we hear it all the time. But that is, at the end of the day, I mean, it's a big leap. It's a big jump. Even if you have a great deal in front of you, and I've seen this time and time again, where people have everything lined up perfectly, and then they still are hesitant to pull the trigger, or they don't pull the trigger, and they send the deal to somebody else like myself, and I pull the trigger. It all comes down to that mindset, having that confidence to do so. And the way I look at it is you can get into real estate investing one of two ways. Way number one, which is the way I got in, which is a school of hard knocks. You can go out there and you can learn by making your own mistakes. Learn as you go. Ask people questions every which way you can. Or number two, the other way you can get into real estate investing is by speeding up that learning curve, saving from those mistakes, but paying somebody to do so. Pay somebody locally to coach you or mentor you. I do that for some people. Maybe it's nationwide, or maybe it's just subscribing to online resources or courses. It's paying for the education. So you can go out and get educated by paying for it in your own mistakes and experiences, or you can go pay for it yourself. But those are really the two ways of getting in. And I would say both of those will build confidence. You just got to get over that hump of pulling the trigger. And there's a lot that we can get into about pulling how do you even get to there. But for now, I would say really focusing on your mindset. And what I find is when people do some sort of coaching or do some sort of course, they're really looking to buy confidence.
No, I totally agree. And I've always said, I'd rather learn from someone else's mistakes than my own. I'd really prefer it, just to not actually feel the financial pain and the stress and the anxiety when I can just learn from somebody else. But that's a skill, and it all comes down to mindset and listening. So, I mean, that is the right answer. No one wants to hear it because you know what? It's internal work. It's hard work. Know what you want, get some clarity, and go get it. And that's up to you. That starts and ends with you. So, and I know the answer to this. I'll just like to hear your thoughts on this. I'm deciding which house to flip. I'm deciding what deals to look at. Who can I talk to that will help me get an idea of what the market value is for a type of home in an area? Who do you talk to, Brent?
You got the greatest resource right here. Your local realtor is your subject area expert. That's Andrew Undum. You need to just contact him. This is what he does for a living. He values comps all day long. It's the people who give freely with their time. It comes back. That's Andrew. Whenever I have something that I need some sort of value on, I know it's an Andrew Undum question. I shoot it over to him and he'll be able to answer it.
And I have to have a disclaimer. Look, there's a lot of areas I don't know about. And Brentin goes all over the place. He's doing deals like, look, I live in Harford County. I'm very familiar with the city. If you're doing a deal maybe in West Baltimore, like, hey, look, I don't really go there. So I'm going to refer that to somebody else. But what I'll always do is point you in the right direction. Whether I have any skin in the game or not, if you have a question, and this is not just me, this is anyone on our team, a lot of people at Berkshire Hathaway, a lot of people at Keller Williams down in your network down there in Anne Arundel County. They're good people everywhere. You just got to reach out and ask. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Anytime you've asked someone for help, which you're still asking people for help because you're smart, you're looking to grow, has anyone ever told you no? Off?
No.
People don't do that because people like helping other people.
And you got to make sure that you are asking the right people, not somebody who's brand new in the industry. I would ask somebody who has the experience.
Yeah, because like, look, we're not chasing another commission. I could care less about one commission. I want somebody that I can take care of, that I can have a walking, talking billboard for life to say, that guy helped me, that guy cared. Because then you're probably going to refer me to all your friends and family, and at the end of the day, that's just how this business works. So I appreciate you giving me the
unsolicited plug.
Yeah, you gave me the alley-oop lob. What is the toughest hurdle you've had to overcome on this real estate investing journey?
The toughest hurdle I've had to overcome in the real estate investing journey is absolutely the construction. Being really tactical. I mean, I've gone through many contractors, and I've hired contractors who have completely burned me, or I've had to redo the work. And usually a lot of the turmoil when it comes to getting the deal closed or staying on budget all has to do with the construction. I believe that the construction aspect is so important, making sure you have the right contractors in the right place, and I feel like I'm finally there. At the same time, it takes many, many projects to get there. So not to scare you about the construction, but it's also not to overlook it or take it lightly. There's a lot of obstacles. I mean, finding the deal is very, very difficult. Finding funding sometimes can be difficult, other times not. Finding good contractors, everybody struggles with. I believe that you can get through all of the stages. But for me personally, I've lost the most amount of money, and I've lost out on the most amount of money when it comes to construction.
Oh yeah, we see it all the time. It's really hard to find contractors who just do what they say they're going to do, when they're going to do it, on time, at budget. And anyone who's been around the real estate industry, it's almost like a joke.
Yeah, it's like that whole like add 10% to your construction estimate for contingencies that you're unforeseen or contractor issues. I mean, that's nearly an understatement at this point.
Maybe add 15%.
Yeah, especially with pricing.
That's why you got to stay away from marginal deals and know how to value a flip or a buy and hold. Next question. This is more of a fun one. What is the most profitable investment Brentin Hess has made in real estate? Single deal, most profit. Tell us.
The most profitable investment I've ever made in real estate are my flips. I have rental properties, and yes,
33.
They can. Yes, they can drip cash flow over time. Yes, I have all the headaches and the calls and whatnot. However, the flips themselves for me have been, all in all, the biggest cash flow pump into my business, and it's allowed me to reinvest into marketing and into my team and other aspects.
What's the deal where you just cracked one, or over the course of, have you strung together 3 or 4 where you're making, hey, I made 60 G's profit, 80 G's profit, and these things happen over 3-4 months if you're running a tight ship. Yeah.
So lately, I've had a very good stretch with how the market has accelerated in pricing and everything seems to appreciate. I've done better on these flips than I ever expected. And I've had a string of a few 6-figure profit flips net.
100K in your pocket.
Yeah.
In the bank, done.
Fortunate, yeah. And
so humble. 100,000 check, and that's over that. It's never 100 even.
Yeah, and like I'm telling you like the true net. I'm not the type of person who's embellishing. But I will say this. You never know when you're in this game, you never know how you're going to get a deal. And specifically speaking, if you want a quick story, doing a social media post just like this, I had somebody reach out to me and say that they have a neighbor whose father passed away. He didn't know what to do with the house. It was in rough shape. He needed an as-is cash buyer to come in and just buy it in its as-is condition. He didn't want to put it on the open market for everybody to see. He just wanted, so what he did was he interviewed people and he got all the letters in the mail and whatnot. Sure. But it was somebody who said, hey, you should talk to Brentin too. So I met with him and I wasn't the highest price. However, we had the greatest trust and he had trusted me and I wound up buying that property. And what I love doing for the homeowners is allowing them to come see the project after it's finished. Sure. He loved it and that was by far my best flip I've ever had, profitability-wise, well over 6 figures, and it was in a great area. It all worked out, and it just came from a social media post just like this.
That's incredible. What'd you buy it for?
I bought that one for $115,000.
Cash?
Yep.
And then what'd you put into it?
That one I put in, it was like $81,000 and some change.
So you're in for like $195-ish?
Yeah.
And what'd you sell it for?
That one sold for $318,000, and it was clean, just clean, like no closing help, all that.
That's
so.
awesome.
Yep.
We're going to have Brentin leave you with a little nugget because he's got a really brilliant pro forma spreadsheet that you can use if you want to make sure your numbers are going to work. Not every deal's 100K, but sometimes they are. So I got to stay in the game.
Yeah.
How much risk are you willing to take in order to make a profit on one of these investment deals?
We're in the business of risk. And the reason why I still hire a realtor to sell my deals, I still hire a contractor to do the construction, is I'm looking to mitigate the risk however I can and leverage the time. We're taking massive risks. So on a given flip, I mean, I have risks throughout the whole project. I mean, from macroeconomical risk, like what happens to the economy, to micro, what happens in that market if the housing prices drop, if something happens on the construction of it, to somebody from a liability standpoint. So I'm always getting insurance on the property. I'm getting title insurance when I buy it. I'm making sure I might have a lender on some deals. And then from a construction standpoint, I make sure that the best I can to that ability goes smoothly. And then things can go wrong. Even after selling the house, you might get phone calls down the road. There's just, I mean, you feel like even when you sell a flip, you feel like there's still risk looming. Right. But you just have to do what you can to mitigate that risk. And that might be hire an attorney to take a look at your overall strategy and figure out where in there you could do better. I cannot stress it enough that there are plenty of risks, but if the risk wasn't worth the reward, I certainly wouldn't be doing it. And that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, it goes back to like having a good team in place. Because risk is all around us. I don't care what you're doing, particularly in the real estate investing game. But the best people know how to mitigate risks, and it's through quality relationships. And look, ignorance is not an excuse. Oh, I didn't know I needed insurance for the people working on my property because the framer put a nail through his hand. That could come back and sink everything. So again, knowledge is the power. If you know the risks and you can see them and you can mitigate them, then you can move forward confidently. And I think that's where, back to the mindset, people are just like, oh my God, yeah, I want to buy something for 100, put 50 in and sell it for 300. Do you really though? Do you really want that? Do you really want to go through all those different team members, work with a good agent, work with an attorney, work with the title company, work with the lender, work with the insurance company, have everything dialed in? It's responsibility.
Yeah.
So this is for pros.
Yep. And when I'm buying, one of the ways I look to mitigate risk is I want to make sure I'm buying it correctly at a low enough price so I'm making enough profit so that when things go wrong, I have profit that I can dish out to cover those risks. So for example, when I'm buying a property, I love to buy properties, and I look for this as my buying criteria, is I want to buy at least 50, I want profit on my spreadsheet that I'll be sharing and giving to everybody, is I'm looking for at least 15% of the resale value of my home in the form of profit. So, for example, if the house that I'm flipping is selling for $200,000, then I want to make at least $30,000 in profit on that. The reason being is if the market was to shift or take a turn, maybe it drops 10%, well, great, I still have 5% left. So I'm able to mitigate that risk out of my profit money, not out of my own money. And then I'll still make some money. So that's like my target for profit, and I do that because of all the risks involved.
Really smart, really smart. You gotta protect that downside. So what about short-term rentals? This is a question we get a lot. So I like to buy and hold, as you know. We've had many debates. I like the A+ areas, but you can make money in any area if you do it right. What about these short-term rentals like Airbnb or VRBO? Have you coached anyone through that? Have you explored that at all, or is that not of interest?
For me, I have not invested in that. However, there's somebody that I know who I really respect, and they gave me one really great piece of advice for anybody looking to get into the short-term vacation rental market or vacation rental by owner market. They said, make sure it's aligned with your life. Because I was looking into it, and what they meant by that is invest in an area that you would love to go and take your family. You would love to spend time. So maybe it's a certain spot, like say it's Hilton Head in South Carolina, and that's like you love vacation there, you love that, or you've always wanted to be there. Sure. Then that would be the vacation rental market that I'm looking, because odds are if you like it, it's going to be hot, and other people would like it. Yeah. So that was, if there's any advice that I have, that's the only piece of advice I have for short-term rentals. But I know people crushing it.
Yeah, so we have a place in Ocean City, Maryland. I think a lot of our clients here in the greater Baltimore, Maryland area, they go to the beach, whether it's Delaware, New Jersey, Ocean City, Maryland. And I have an outfit ask me about this because I found some guys who are helping me do it, and we are crushing on Airbnb, more than I ever even thought possible. And there's really little risk and a lot of upside. Now, of course, you have to buy a property and make sure you don't buy something that sucks. But if you do, that Airbnb could be really, really profitable. Maybe that's a whole nother show we'll do another time. But while we have Mr. Flip and buy and hold, after investing, so if I'm having have a success, and I got some money in the bank now, after investing in my first couple of properties with great success, what should my next step be? I guess the follow-up is like, where do I put this money? How do I keep this success? Because you don't just want to go spend all the money and buy a bunch of Gucci stuff. What do you do, Brentin?
My answer is not going to be sexy. And if you would have asked me this in our last interview, it would have been different. I probably would have been like, scale, grow, reinvest all the money. For me, like what happens, what I'm seeing, and I went down this exact same path, was the minute I started seeing success and putting cash in the bank, what did I do? Shiny object syndrome.
Right.
I immediately was looking at different ways of making money. And what I didn't keep doing is what was working. So what I did was I ended up taking that money and blowing it, attempting to do other things. I've dabbled in other industries. I've dabbled even in the industry, different markets I would have done. Or maybe it's you're flipping, making some money. You're like, well, let me jump on the rental train. Well, that will suck some money. Don't forget about your flipping business that is making you cash flow. So it actually wasn't until I just sat still and I started having success.
Right.
I just kept doing the same thing. And I did start refining my systems. I started doing better at finding deals.
Yeah.
I actually would say stay where you are and then make sure that you have your overall goals set for your life and then make sure that flipping can fund that. I would love to see flipping as the stepping stone to where you want to go, but just don't jump too soon. I mean, I see everybody do that because by the time they're out and they want to come back in, it's so much more energy, and then they forget where the market is, and they don't reach that same success. It's like hitting a tree 1,000 times in the same spot versus all over the place.
Right, sharpening the axe.
Yeah, I personally would stay inside what's working, make sure you have clear goals, and then slowly progress on those goals, but stay doing what's working, flipping. The minute I stopped flipping to go do other things, it was like landing an airplane. I had to get it back up, and I stopped all my marketing. It was a disaster. And I actually see probably 75% of people do this exact mistake.
Oh, everyone does it. Mm-hmm. And I was a victim to it too. You have success selling real estate. Oh, I can make money doing this, and this. And that, a saying I like is, a jack of all trades makes minimum wage. You have to master something. And just because you do it one or two times and you're having success, you have not mastered this.
Yep.
And even Brentin hasn't mastered, and he's been doing it hundreds of times. He's still learning on every deal, because that's just the mindset. How can I get a little bit better? How can I squeak out 1% more profit? How can I get my contractor to do X, Y, or Z that's going to make this run smoother? Yep. So you just got to, I love that answer, which is just say, stay in your lane. If you're going to commit to this, commit. And don't go running around doing everything else. Because a jack of all trades makes minimum wage. Who wants that?
Yeah. And I mean, as soon as I started getting money, I started trying to scale. And I'm hiring a team. And next thing you know, I'm just raising my expenses, putting myself more in debt, and all the money I just made is gone. It's not in the bank account anymore.
There's nothing wrong with keeping the profit. You want to keep that money.
It's not sexy, but it's smart.
All right, final question, because I know you got other things to do. You probably got like 8 houses under construction you got to manage. What are your thoughts on real estate investing in cryptocurrency? Because we're starting to get questions, Brentin. We're like, hey, well, I got $200K of Bitcoin. Does that count towards my financing? Can I use these crypto assets towards real estate? Because we were talking about diversification earlier. Mm-hmm. Crypto is a whole nother industry, space to park cash and maybe have some appreciation in assets. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I love the crypto rush. It's nothing like refreshing your account 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and getting that dopamine hit like, oh, I'm up or down. I mean, but it feels exactly like that. It feels like a straight up gamble. I don't know much about the crypto space, but what I can tell you when it relates to real estate is my real estate is funding my crypto gambling. And it's been a fun ride up and down.
Right.
But it's just that. It's like a ride. It's like I got to stay focused on what's putting food on the table, what's paying my bills, and the real estate is the bread and butter. To me, crypto is that shiny object that we once said that people would, and I've seen it. I mean, you see it all over social media. People are like all in on the crypto.
Right.
You know, do you? But for me personally, I got to stay real estate investing, and then I can use that money and play around in crypto and enjoy my dopamine hits as I refresh on a Saturday night at 11 p.m. just laying there doing nothing.
You know, here might be a hot take. I think the cryptocurrency space is going to really kind of have an impact on this real estate, especially when it comes to mortgage financing or using collateral or our margin accounts to buy real estate, particularly for investors. You know, there's kids out there who are like, hey, they put $20K in Bitcoin and now it's worth $2 million. They're like, holy shit. But now you can buy a house to live in. You can get out of your parents' basement. What a concept. Yeah. But I think the important point that Brent made is when you're master something, if it's investing in real estate, you're going to take that money out and you have to do something with this profit. So it does pay to be really savvy. Know what you want. Hey, stocks and bonds are good. Maybe cryptocurrency is good. Reinvesting in what you know is probably the best.
Yeah.
So, Brentin, before you head out, I asked you to bring some kind of giveaway that if you like this conversation, if you want to get into this, if you want to learn more, I said, what's your best tactical tip that we can actually give somebody something that they can play with? Tell them about your pro forma, how much it saved you, and how they can get it.
Often the most profitable flip that you'll ever make in real estate is the one you never do. And I say that because this spreadsheet that I have, it's really, really simple, yet it has saved me from buying properties that I would have lost my shirt on. So I'm more than happy to give that away. It's a simple Excel file that can be Google Sheets, and there's only a few places that you need to plug in numbers. If you have any questions, you contact me. It's very intuitive, and it's not multiple tab, long spreadsheet, everything ties into it. I mean, it is just a straight up real thing. In fact, I will now and again see people on social media sharing like their numbers, and it's like my spreadsheet. I'm like, how the heck did they get that from? I've been using it for years. It is the bomb, and it's going to save you from making a ton of mistakes, buying wrong deals, and it'll help you accurately, very accurately, but do not hold me accountable to whatever the numbers are. But it will help you go out there and find a profitable deal. It's amazing. So I'd be more than happy to share that.
All right. Well, hey, comment, send us an email. We're going to make sure that's easy to get a hold of. Brentin Hess, everybody, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Love being here.